Well, the good news is with all these problems facing the Big 12, the league is not going to lose its commissioner in the near term. It would certainly appear, but I will admit, we've talked about this with Brett Yormark many times before. There is going to come a time where people will pursue him. Like, he's done such a good job in taking this league from where it was at to where it is now, and just improving the profile of it, fighting for it, winning major battles, like getting the four corner schools, continuing to be innovative and just be the right type of leader for the situation. The type of guy that can really meet the moment here with everything that's happening in college athletics, especially when you pair that with the rest of his resume, a guy that oversaw major positive changes at NASCAR. He was able to move the New Jersey Nets to Brooklyn and become the Brooklyn Nets. He has a lot of very impressive things on the resume. And so he's going to be a hot commodity. And the more that the Big 12 does have success and does compete, that will get hotter and hotter. He will become even more and more of a commodity. And here we have this from Sports Business Journal. They did a story about Live Golf. And I guess it's Greg Norman who's in charge of Live Golf. Who knew? I am in no way a golf guy at all. I had no idea. But Sports Business Journal reported that the search firm that Live Golf hired has been working on this for months. And one of the people it contacted was Brett Yormark, trying to get him to run Live Golf. But reached by Sports Illustrated, Yormark said the call, quote, lasted about 5 minutes because he is not interested in moving on from his current position. There was another report, and I saw people making fun of that one. Like, okay, great. Brett Yormark's agent trying to get him in the news, because that one didn't quote Yormark directly. It cited a source close to Yormark that said the call lasted a minute. So I guess it's up for debate whether or not that you think that call lasted 1 minute or 5. The point being emphasized by the Big 12 there is that it did not last long because Yormark doesn't want to leave. So however skeptical you might be about the general sentiment, it does show you Yormark is a wanted man. His work is being recognized on a national level, as you might expect. And at least for right now, he still seems to be committed to the Big 12. I think he's a tough read, I think, on that as to, what his ultimate plans would be. He's certainly saying all the right things. If you go back to Big 12 media days, he had quotes along the lines of like, I'm not going to stop until we, are the best conference out there. I'm paraphrasing, but he was certainly projecting the energy of a guy who definitely wants to keep pushing and pushing this, but he's also somebody that's been in a bunch of different positions throughout his career and, doesn't strike me as necessarily a lifer there. So there might be a timetable on it at some point. I'm not saying you need to prepare yourself for the reality right now, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It is very similar to the conversation about your head coach. Iowa State fans, I know, go through it all the time with Matt Campbell because his name's been brought up for every job opening for about the last 6 years. K-State and Kansas fans found out this past offseason, whether it was Washington, Nebraska. I guess that's going back a couple of years, but you get the point. Though Michigan, when Michigan popped open, both those names wound up on the list, even if everybody thought it was going to be Sherrone Moore. You have to always see it that your coach is going to come up for a quote unquote bigger and better job, but it's a testament to your program. That means you're enjoying more football throughout the season. Like, things are going better. So your life as a sports fan following your team should be better if your coach, or in this case, your CEO, are being pursued like this. So at least take it like that. Brett Yormark, wanted by Live Golf. Could you see Brett Yormark as the commissioner of Live Golf? I guess I probably shouldn't speak too much on that because, like I said, I'm not a golf guy. I don't know a ton. I know it's like the rebel outpost league, right? I did feel like, well, that actually, I certainly feel like he makes more sense running Live Golf than he would the PGA Tour, right? Give Brett Yormark kind of the underdog sort of spin, or just something that is not like the total establishment thing. That doesn't seem like it would be something that would interest Yormark very much. Calico Willie, what's up, Calico Willie? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you, my friend. Calico Willie says, hey, John, been a minute. After half the season, what do you see the odds of the Big 12 in the playoff? After the early video, is there any chance the playoff poll adjusts for actual play? EMA. Well, thank you, Calico, for being here. Thank you for your support of the channel. I think the odds of, look, the Big 12 is going to get someone in the playoff. I think the odds of getting multiple teams in the playoff are just always going to be low unless we do get to a point where somebody could lose a close Big 12 championship game as an unbeaten and lose that to a one-loss team. That, I think, is your scenario and probably the only real scenario where it happens. I would say, though, that as long as Iowa State and BYU keep winning, it does get slightly more and more likely. So if you are somebody that's rooting for that, you're definitely going to want to root for both of them to win their games this weekend. You will want to be rooting for Friday night BYU to take care of business in Provo. Big 12 after dark, another one of these late kickoffs, but BYU, you would want them to take care of business against Oklahoma State, and you want Iowa State to handle UCF. That's what you'd be rooting for if you're trying to get multiple Big 12 teams into the playoff. Is there any chance the playoff poll adjusts for actual play? Well, we don't. My apologies if I'm misunderstanding here, Calico. We don't actually have college football playoff rankings yet. We're getting close, though. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I will say, for all the discussion now about like the AP poll, and I know I even discussed that a bit this week, like we still don't really know how the committee is going to judge this or handle this. And even the SEC and Big Ten, like with the reports coming out of that they may just do away with the committee entirely. They're clearly at least a little nervous about it, at least a little curious at worst about how this is going to go with the curious at best, maybe with how this is going to go with the selection committee. So, maybe it is going to be better for the Big 12. We'll see. We'll see how they value an Iowa State or a BYU. But thank you, Calico. Great to hear from you, my friend. Real quick, Big 12 TV numbers this week. I will wedge these in before I give you my Cam Rising take. Big 12 football week 7, K-State at Colorado. It was the 6th highest rated game of the weekend at 3.26 million. And that is in that after dark slot. So that's pretty impressive. Arizona at BYU was next. It got 1.31. Utah, Arizona State Friday, late night, got 1.29. And then Iowa State, West Virginia gets 1.22. Cincy at UCF, 280K. So it was kind of a light week with just the 5 Big 12 games, but that's what you had as far as viewership numbers. Nationally, as I said, that was good for 6th best overall, that Colorado K-State game. We know this. The Buffs continue to be good. I go back to what Mike Gundy said at Big 12 Media Days. Like, people pay attention to them. They bring TV eyeballs. And, so one observation that I had with this, right? Obviously, that's a good number for the league. You want to continue to see that happening. But with these late night windows, and I know as fans, like we're already, I sense the general sentiment is that people are kind of tired of them. It also sucks because I do feel like you miss out a little bit, for whatever this is worth, on some of the major shows that are then recapping and reacting to games. Like, for instance, College Football Final. I always try to watch College Football Final on Sunday, and they're taping it late. The game is over, but they didn't have a highlight, at least that I saw, of Colorado K-State. And if it was there, I maybe missed the last 10 minutes of the show. So if it was there, it was late in the show. And so that's a game that, people cared about. It was a good game. It, had a lot going on, even with a Travis Hunter injury, which you would think is something that they would want to be talking about and getting out there. You kind of missed the boat on that. So you are missing a bit of extra publicity that could go along with that. Even, how much this really matters in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. But I love the Solid Verbal. It's one of the biggest college football podcasts out there. You miss that, and then it's like, okay, we'll talk about it on our Tuesday show. And yeah, it gets mentioned a little bit, but by that point it's blending in a bit too, moving forward to the next week. And it just is easy to get kind of washed away in everything there if you are playing that late and having the game not be talked about as much. But I suppose you can't argue if you're getting over 3 million people to watch, because that's a really nice number for the Big 12 there.